When you first start making ambient music, it can all feel a little overwhelming. All the sounds, the effects, the choices. But the truth is, you don't need much to create something beautiful. Today, I'm going to show you how to build a chill ambient track with beats, starting from the absolute basics. We'll take simple sounds, layer them in a way that feels spacious and alive, and then bring in rhythm that supports the mood instead of fighting against it. By the end, you'll have the tools that you need to take on your own ideas and turn them into music that feels effortless, meditative, and inspiring. This is all about keeping it simple, letting the sound breathe, and discovering how powerful ambient music can be when you approach it with patience and creativity. In the background here, we're listening to something that I cooked up before this tutorial. Something chill, something dub. We're gonna try to recreate this track in about 20 or 25 minutes or so. Anyway, thank you for being here, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, welcome back to Signs of Life. In today's video, we're going to be creating a chill ambient track with beats. I'll be playing in G minor and 111 beats per minute. I'm using Ableton Live here, but feel free to follow along in any other DAW of your choice. Now, to start with, I thought we'd get a bird's eye overview of actually what I created here so you guys can fully understand this. I'm going to hit play and we can examine each section one by one, and then we'll recreate the track from scratch. Okay, so let me get out of the way here so you guys can see all this. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is recreate this glitch stab, which is really cool. Listen to this. Oh yeah, it's got these beautiful glitches here. This is coming from Pigments. Very simple stab sound, right? Using the harmonic engine, right? Got some modulation, some FM going on here, and a simple sawtooth. But where those glitches are coming from is the spectral resonator from Ableton. Beautiful, beautiful plugin here. It's set in frequency mode, right? So we're actually tuning it to notes, and that's hitting a G right there. And that's being further granularly processed through Motion Fractal. Beautiful plugin from Excite Audio. Talked about this a lot recently. So that's what that's doing, right? And of course we have a kick drum here. Very simple kick. Couple skip beats, couple ghost notes actually. Really nice. And then we've got this bass here. Now the bass has two alternate versions, so I thought that was cool. The bass is coming from Vital here. Nice low, widely unison detuned bass. You can see it on the oscilloscope here. Pretty wild. Love it. And the second variation is this. Oh yeah. I just plugged that in by hand actually. So kind of like an offset bass, I like that. We'll go back to the original. And of course, finally, we have a pad here coming from Serum 2. So that's great. And I'll come back on the screen here. And so we got space coins here, we got a sawtooth, we got random smoothed out LFO here, putting in work on the filter. So altogether, it sounds like a really nice dubby ambient chill track. I like that. So on the other side, let's go ahead and recreate this starting from the glitch stab, all right? And yeah, let's go ahead and dive straight in. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna create our glitch stab from scratch. I'm gonna be using Pigments here, but feel free to use any other synthesizer of your choice. All right, so let's go ahead and grab Pigments, and we're just gonna drag it onto our track. Now, creating a dub stab is a great way to get started, especially if you're new to sound design or new to ambient production. Doing something like this can be a great exercise, especially if you're just starting out, all right? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna move our wavetable position to around 0.66. That's gonna be our sawtooth waveform, okay? We're gonna turn on Engine 2 and switch it from sample to harmonic, all right? We're gonna come back to this in just a second. Now let's design our envelopes here, all right? So we're gonna lower the sustain all the way down and change the decay to around 1 second. Okay, that's cool. We're gonna leave envelope 2 as it is, and we're gonna turn down our filter to probably around 250 hertz and add a little bit of resonance. Okay, now let's address the harmonic engine, all right? The harmonic engine is a really great way to kind of shape your sound. And what we're gonna do here is we can adjust the morph parameters. You guys can, change this to whatever you want. I'll choose bipulse and just leave B as the move. That looks good. You can adjust the depth here and maybe, kind of play with some of these controls. I'm gonna turn the depth in the periodic section all the way up. And then I'll use some FM or some frequency modulation. Maybe I'll change the ratio to 2 and we'll change the amount here. And then we'll just go ahead and over in the modulator section, we'll change it from wave to square and then up the volume here. And the tuning can be from ratio. We can move it to absolute here, all right? So we're really modifying the parameters of the harmonic engine to kind of give us some more modulation here, all right? And the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change envelope 2. We're gonna move it and pull it over to the cutoff here. And that's really gonna give us our dub stab. So let's go ahead and hear what this sounds like. I'll go ahead and light up the MIDI clip I created earlier. Perfect, okay? So you can hear, it's just a nice calm dub stab, all right? We're gonna do some more modulation in pigments to really bring this thing to life, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take LFO 1 here, and I'll change it from poly keyboard to free running. That's the retrig source. We'll change the rate from hertz to straight only and lower it down to 4/1. And we'll drag it over to the cutoff here, okay? We'll make it unipolar by clicking the polarity button. Perfect. So now we have a 4-bar LFO that's affecting our cutoff. That's cool, all right? What I also think was pretty cool to do is take a random here and we'll change the first one from Turing to random. We're gonna smooth it all the way out and change the retrig source to free running here, okay? And we'll change the rate from sync to hertz and then kind of slow it down. And we'll use that on the morph control right here, okay? So now we're really kind of altering how this shape is affecting our harmonic engine. That's cool, all right? Great, now let's add some effects here. I'm gonna add a delay and a reverb from my send effects. Your effects may differ, but you guys can copy the settings if you wish, all right? I'll use my dotted 8th note dual delay here and some reverb coming from the Pro R2. Here's my delay settings right here. Very nice. Okay, that sounds good. All right, I really like where that went. I mean, it's just a very simple way to create a dub stab. The sawtooth, the filter sawtooth is my favorite waveform for sure. All right, and that sounds good to me. All right, now let's go ahead and really kind of bliss this thing out with some granular processors. Again, I'm using Ableton here. If you don't have the spectral resonator, you could even use motion fractal twice. Or another granular processor that you might have, all right? So let's go ahead and pause this for a second, and I'm gonna grab the spectral resonator here from the audio effects, all right? We'll drop it right here in our track. I'll get out of the way so you guys can see this. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're going to change it from none to granular mode, all right? And we'll switch the frequency from hertz to note, okay? And I'm gonna pull this up to, say, G3 here. There it is, right there, if I can get my mouse on it. Very good. All right, and now we can turn up the input send and lower the dry wet here. And let's go ahead and hear what this sounds like. Oh yeah. That's a really nice sound. You get the quantize button if you want. Maybe mess with the decay. If you want a little more emphasis here. It's got filtering on it, stretch controls, but I'm just gonna pretty much leave that as it is because I really like that sound. Okay, cool. The spectral resonator is really powerful. This is sort of the tip of the iceberg here. You could input MIDI into it. You can put it in scale mode. It's quite wild, the possibilities here, all right? So now let's go ahead and add motion fractal if you have it, all right? I'm gonna add motion fractal after the spectral resonator here, okay? And we'll go ahead and light this up, all right? Let's find the default preset here, okay? And what we're gonna do is open up the controls and we're gonna change the pitch from free to octaves. I'll come back on the screen here, all right? And we're gonna change it to octaves and then maybe pitch it up a whole octave and start adjusting the spread here and adjusting the wet control, okay? And you're gonna hear that all of a sudden that signal that we get from both pigments and the spectral resonator is going to start really modulating right there. Oh yeah, I like it. You can play with the density or the size here. Up to you. Kind of play around. See how this works. Oh yeah, that's so nice. So it's almost like we have a secondary delay that's pitching our delays up in octaves. So it's almost like a pitched delay in a way. It's like really cool. I love this effect. Oh yeah, so nice. You really want to be mindful of the spread control because sometimes it can get out of control. All right. You could even use layer 2 here if you want. That's always fun to do. I've done that in previous videos. Okay. But there you go. I mean, that's your glitch stab, right? I love that. Okay. So that's part 1 there. All right. And now let's go ahead and add our kick drum. Now our kick drum is going to be very simple. I'm just using a sample that I have in my library from the Trias collection. You could even use a plugin here like Kick 2 or whatever you have, whatever you got for kick drums could probably work here. All right. So as you can see, I'm using these Trias samples inside a drum rack. All right. Now, the most important thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the MIDI clip here. I'll go ahead and just show it on the screen. And you can see that it's sort of like a 4 on the floor, but I do have some ghost notes in here. Now, ghost notes are great ways to kind of provide accent to your kick drum pattern to kind of break it up a little bit. But you can see the ghost notes are really low in velocity. All right. So they're sort of accents. And what's going to happen is I have the velocity to volume turned kind of pretty high. So the velocity really is going to influence how this kick drum is going to sound. I'll show you how it goes. Right? So you can hear those little ghost notes just provide a little bit of accent. You can barely hear them over the standard 4 on the floor. But that's good enough, right? All we want is just something to kind of break it up a little bit and provide a little more rhythmic interest. Perfect. Other than that, I mean, you could compress this a little bit if you want, like up to you. A little makeup gain. Oh yeah. Very nice. Okay. So that's all we're going to do with our kick drum. Again, very simple, okay? I like that though. That's cool. Okay, so we got our stab in place. We got our kick drum. Now let's move on to the bass. Now for the bass, I'm going to use Vital here. You could use Pigments again. You could use any other synth, Serum 2, whatever you got. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and add, Vital's already there. So let's go ahead and restart here. Start from initialize preset. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some voices of unison to our default sawtooth. All right, so let's add 6 voices of unison and even up the detune because we're really gonna kind of modulate this detune. It'll be very nice here, all right? And we'll change the filter from analog 12 dB to digital 24, okay? That's cool. Now what we can do is lower the filter down very far, like around 65 Hertz, okay? That's cool, okay? We'll leave envelope 1 as it is. Envelope 2, we can kind of make sort of a short pluck by taking the sustain out. We'll pull this over to the cutoff filter and lower down its amount here. Great, maybe we'll add some resonance. And that's pretty much all we're gonna do. The last thing I like to do is take an LFO and put it from trigger to sync. And maybe we'll make this a 8-bar LFO and drag it over to the cutoff and lower down its amount. There we go. All right, I've got some notes here already plugged in. Let's go ahead and take a look at those. This is just a simple bass line I came up with before we started. You guys can see that on the screen. Simple G minor bass line, all right? And yeah, let's go ahead and light this up. Nice. I like it, right? You can see on the oscilloscope, like I showed in the intro, I mean, that's some really nice motion there. I love it. And that's due to the fact that we are kind of leaving the unison all the way open. Now you could play with the sort of unison in the advanced tab here, maybe using like a Perlin or something on the table spread, okay? And the spectral spread there to get even more motion. That's always nice, right? Whatever you find is interesting to you, I think is cool. Like, add an effect here, maybe we'll add a multi-band compressor. Oh yeah. That's just really nice because now it's grounding the whole thing. I love it. Oh yeah. Excellent. All right, so we got our bass in place. Now, like I said in the intro, I did have a secondary bass line. Let's listen to that. This is something I just kind of plugged in by hand before we started. You guys can see that on the screen. So that could be another part of our track. Like we could, kind of do the initial bass line and then come back to this and then have it like a secondary motif, if you will. All right, I like that. That's cool. Okay, excellent. Okay, now let's add the pad sound. For this example, I'm going to be using Serum 2, but you can use any other synthesizer that you like. A really good pad can kind of fill out the rest of the harmonics and really provide some glue to the rest of your track, all right? So let's go ahead and add Serum 2 here. If you got it, I'll go ahead and add Serum 2 in my synths folder. And what we're going to do is we're just going to do kind of the standard pad with a sample here on oscillator B. So I'll switch it to oscillator B to sample, and we'll come back to this in just a second. Now with envelope 1, let's adjust it to around, 3 seconds of attack, 3 seconds of decay, lower down the sustain, up the release here, okay? And we'll take filter 1 here and we'll lower it down a little bit. And we're gonna take an LFO and modulate this filter right away, okay? We're going to change it from normal to sample and hold. And we're gonna leave it on free running and monophonic, and we'll smooth it all the way out here, and we'll change the rate to 2 bars, all right? We'll drag this over to the cutoff. There we go, and lower down its amount. And now we have sort of a modulated filter. Now with the sample oscillator, what we're gonna do here is we're going to add a sample from the factory library. I'll go to the spatial. There's this space coins with all these dollar signs. That's cool. Now what you need to know about this is that we are going to up the level here by 3 semitones, all right? Now, you could use a sample oscillator or you could switch to granular. Let's go with granular here. I think that's a better choice because what we're gonna do is change it from 1 shot to forward reverse loop, okay? And then you can change the density here to BPM sync. Maybe lower that down. Same with the length, we'll go with BPM sync. By the way, I right-clicked on that to get BPM sync. That's good. And you can kind of change the random direction here, maybe adjust some random panning. That's good, all right? And that's all we're gonna do with our pad. I mean, it's a very simple pad, right? Maybe we'll add some voices of unison here, 5 voices of unison, lower down the detune, adjust the width here to around 50%. Okay, perfect. Okay, that's good. Let's hear what this sounds like. I've got some chords here already sort of plugged in and yeah, ready to go, all right? Simple chords here. G minor, going to a G sus2, and then adding a high F note right there. All right, I'm gonna add some delay and reverb from my send effects, same ones I use on the glitch stab pad, and let's hear how this sounds. Oh yeah. Very nice. We walk up the octave here. Oh yeah. Very nice, right? So you can see that because we have that modulated LFO here on our filter, it kind of provides that nice kind of washy backdrop, and those space coins, when they actually hit, I mean, those are really nice, right? And because it's not even going through the filter, I put oscillator B not going through the filter, all right? So it's kind of hang out on its own. But combine it with that glitch stab and those effects right there, it's a really nice sound. I love it. All right, cool. Excellent. So now, where can we go with this? Like you have this, you got this far, what's left? Do we hear percussion? Do we hear sequences? Well, there's a lot more we could do, right? As a special bonus, I thought we would do a little bit of percussion here from scratch so you guys can see how something like this is done, all right? So what I'll do is I'm going to make a new MIDI clip here in just a blank MIDI track, all right? And what we'll do is we'll switch the grid to 8th notes here. And actually, let's go 16th notes. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pick a random note here down at the bottom. And we'll do like an offset shaker, all right? And what I mean by that is, this is kind of gonna go click, click, click. It's like every third. So if I have it on 16th notes, it's every third 16th note. As you can see, it's not happening on the bar, all right? Cool, now let's make some percussion from scratch using Vital, all right? You can use any other synth here, but I'm gonna use Vital for this example. So let's go ahead and use that. I'm gonna go ahead and grab Vital here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some classic glitch percussion techniques here by altering the wavetable on our own, all right? So make sure your filter is off, that's essential for this. And we're gonna click on the pencil tool here, all right? And right now you can see this is the harmonics here, and this is the phase, all right? What you can do is come to the gear icon and switch the zoom factor to 1 time, all right? And you can right click on this section and randomize all this, all right? This is a classic way to create glitch percussion. I do this a lot in my own work, so feel free to copy these techniques on your own, all right? So what I'm gonna do is, now that I've got this all randomized, I can either use my mouse to drag over here and just erase the initial harmonics, or you could do, right click and say clear left, up to you, whatever works. And that's just 1 keyframe, okay? Now let's make 3 more keyframes. So we're gonna do the same thing, right click, randomize, right click, randomize, clear left, right? You can add a little variation there, okay? And now let's go ahead and do this, randomize, randomize, clear left, very good. And 1 more time, we'll go ahead and randomize, randomize, and clear left. Okay, now what we're gonna do is some random modulator work. And this is really gonna bring our glitch percussion to life, okay? So what we'll do here is we'll switch the spectral distortion to harmonic stretch, okay? And we'll take a random 1 and we're gonna put it in stereo mode. We'll change the mode to sample and hold, and we're gonna drag this quarter note tempo all the way down to freeze, okay? That means that every single time we get a new percussion note, it's gonna change the value, which is really cool, all right? So what we can do is drag this up to a variety of destinations. Let's take the sustain all the way out of our envelope. We'll drag it over to the decay here, all right? And maybe we'll shorten up the decay from that point forward, that's good. We'll drag this up to the wavetable position, drag it up to the harmonic stretch. There we go, just a little bit. Maybe we'll drag it to the panning, holding shift, make it bipolar, all right? And that's cool. I mean, this is gonna sound really, really good. Let's go ahead and add some delay here. All right, we'll put this through the drum bus and we'll hear how this sounds. Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about, right? So you can hear that Vital is making these really cool modulated glitch sounds that never really repeat themselves, because they're being modulated in the panning position, modulated with harmonic stretch. We can do like a formant here, same thing, drag it over. And that's like a really nice organic way to get glitch percussion using a free synthesizer. Oh yeah, I love this. Fantastic, right? It's great, it's great. So there you go. I mean, we got some glitch percussion in Vital. Again, very simple MIDI notes here, nothing crazy. Like I didn't do anything special. I just, added a couple notes there, but really it was all about the sound design work and the modulation, all right? So before I go over to the extended, let's just review what we did here, right? We got our glitch stab here with pigments here in the harmonic engine. Really, really nice. Again, using that envelope and that LFO for what they're used for. Classic glitch stab. And then I used the spectral resonator here. You guys saw that. With the spectral resonator, kind of putting out G notes, and then it gets inputted into motion fractal and really gets blissed out here, up in the dry wet. Lots of variation in that. And of course, just a simple kick drum here, right? 4 on the floor with a couple ghost notes. Love that technique. Gotta love that. And then of course, we got a bass here coming from Vital. Super unison modulated bass. Love it. Over here on the oscilloscope, right? And then of course, Serum 2 here, beautiful little pad, very simple sound design techniques. And then finally, we rounded it out with Vital doing work on the glitch percussion. I absolutely love it. So that's amazing, because this is a really good, solid start to a chill dub ambient track. And like I said, if you were just starting out or you were trying to get your feet wet in this style of music, you could use these techniques and take them in any direction that you choose. So anyway, I'm gonna go over to the extended tutorial where I'm gonna develop this track even further. I think we're gonna add some sequences, add some more percussion. We're gonna take it into a range of view and work on composition. If you wanna join me over there, of course, I'll leave the link down below in the description. But if this is where our journey ends, Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you guys' time, energy, and presence. And yeah, I'll be back again soon with more tutorials just like this one. So in the meantime, take good care of you guys. And as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. I'm Chris from Signs of Life, and I'll see you guys in the next video.